We live in this paradigm that like we are completely perfect and that we're not allowed to make mistakes, or we hold on ourselves that, if we make mistakes, we have to beat ourselves up. There's a certain amount of remorse that we must go through to process that mistake. But why do we forget so often that we have these flaws, and that we're flawed? That's part of life. We don't learn unless we make mistakes. We don't grow unless we recognize some of the flaws within ourselves and within our surroundings. We think that avoiding pain is like the ultimate success of life, but overcoming adversity is something that has to happen within everybody's individual stride, and you don't really get away from it. We don't exit this situation being able to escape that inevitable, tribulations of the journey. And ultimately, it's something that, what's the best way to say this? Ultimately, we all love the fact that everything can be funny if it's not happening to you. There's no humility in someone else's humiliation. And when it comes knocking on your door, you really have to rise to the call of what, what that means in your life and what's being exposed to you. Those flaws are buried in us, and they're waiting to be exposed all the time. And you may go through months and months on end of not having to embrace them and thinking that you've overcome a lot, but there's always something else around the corner waiting to break you back down, and recognize that the journey has not yet come to a close. You were just sort of on a good rise. And at the end of the day, you can learn from other people's mistakes too. It's not just a one-way stream. Everyone likes to learn from someone else rather than learning it the hard way, but we all end up learning our own things the hard way. For example, I've over this past month, I feel like I've been pushing myself to the edge of burnout, and though I'm very, very aware, very conscious of when I'm close to that edge and how much I am doing versus how much time I'm giving myself for rest, it still teeters closer and closer to that edge of burnout and complete catastrophe when caught blindsided by the unknown. I completely had a entire scam situation unveil in my life out of left field. And when you go through something like that, when you're really on the line and you're convinced actually that there's something that needs your immediate attention and all else has failed, and you're under maybe not all else has failed, but something needs your immediate attention, you have to rise to the call, and yet it's just a big manipulative ploy, one that's pulling on your heartstrings, fucking with you psychologically. When you come out of that and you realize that, I was just getting duped in real time, there's there's a lot to embrace. There's an unexpected ego death that you go through, like thinking that I'm someone who prides myself on having it together, being sharp. I've been sober for like a year and a half now, and like something I fill that void of intoxication with is, being prideful of how well I hold it together and how well I do handle adversity. And in a scenario where I get caught off guard, completely with my pants down and almost used and abused for my empathy, like that it threw me, it shook me to the core for about a week. Even I was financially, I made it out, I was protected, I saved myself in the end. I'm fortunate to have a community around me that helped me out and pull me out of this situation, unravel this whole scam that really almost took me for a lot of money that I don't have. And the unraveling, the digesting of that situation really had me recognizing, how fragile I am, how no one is above sort of tricks at that level, manipulative, psychological tapping in at that level. And there is an element of mind control to it. There's shock of the body, there's putting people into fear states and having an individual open up their own doors to their own manipulation. I mean, it really is first of all, it's just a disgusting thing to have to go through, and it's a disgusting thing to think of doing to someone else if you're not a narcissist or if you're not a predator, but it happens, and it can happen to any of us. And learning forgiveness for myself is something that I'm still processing at the moment, and learning to accept that amount of humiliation and, the true core of how that could happen to anybody, and seeing the ripple effects in my own life of how this affects people around me too. Of course, my family is not exactly the most understanding, or maybe your family is not the most understanding when they find out that, you just gave away half of your savings or something like that. It doesn't, that's not immediately processed for good reason. So there's a lot to digest in it all. And more so, I'm making this for you to know that, like, you can gain benefit from these flaws, just like I can gain benefit from someone else's flaws. It is truly always better to see someone else fail and take something away from that experience than it is to have to go through it yourself. Even in the most basic senses of performance and maybe executing a speech or doing any kind of public speaking, something that you're accountable for, like doing good on writing an essay that you do well on, but making mistakes, recognizing that those, other people seeing those mistakes, let them know also that, nobody's perfect. And I think as we are further traveling into the digital age, we as people, we value each other's flaws even more. It's something innately human. It's not, there's AI slop, but there's not really AI like common personality flaws. It's it's fake, But in this sort of next generation future that we're living in, with the dystopian technological overlord harrowing over everybody, what do we really value? We really value the things that shine out to each other, the core of our humanity. And the core of our humanity is that we're not perfect. And we do make mistakes, and we grow. Everything that we are living in right now is an amalgamation of things that we've learned through our mistakes and our tribulations. So you see, really, people love your flaws. People love your flaws because they don't have to have those flaws. People have their own flaws, but they really do. They love your flaws because perspective is everything. And if you feel this sort of change coming in our present transformational cataclysmic existence, whatever this means to you on the individual spirit walk or the societal, the global level, looking out around your immediate and your existential environments and saying, like, this is what truly is me and this is what's not for me. Let me know what you're feeling about all this in the comments, because there's a lot to unpack always, and it's okay to bear these mistakes, recognize that we are all benefiting from our vulnerability, even though it may be seized. Like I said, this is not a story of ultimate benevolence, but it doesn't mean that it should shut you down, and that it doesn't mean that the pursuit of more creativity in a benevolent forum should not still be on your radar, on your personal day-to-day mindful logging, and that you shouldn't still pursue your best and tap in with the sacred innate energy that allows you to be the best person you can be. I'm gonna leave you with that for now. All love to your friends. Hope you have a beautiful and blessed day.